Justin, can you start recording, please?
You're gonna have to do it. You're the host. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Here, let me. Yep. Hang on one second. Sorry about that. Or make co-host. Yes.
Recording in progress.
Thank you. All right, good evening and welcome to the May 4th meeting of the Falmouth Conservation Commission. This meeting is being held virtually via Zoom video conference. Please be patient. We'll do our best to be efficient and allow everyone to participate equitably. This meeting is also being broadcast and streamed online by FCTV in real time. As this meeting is being recorded by Zoom and broadcast by FCTV, please be cognizant of what you say, how you say it, and what can be seen and heard in your background. The chair acknowledges the attendance and continued support of our entire staff, Jen, Alyssa, Liz, Mark, Amy, and Kristen. And we are short one commissioner tonight. So the appointed alternate will be, wait, I gotta draw the straw. Oh, it's Pat. All right. Again, to remind you that for commenting, I'll call on each of you at the appropriate time. Please refrain from speaking over each other. Also, all votes will be done by roll call. When I call your name, state your name and your vote, even if you've made the motion or the second. To our public participants, at any time during this meeting, you may enter any comments or questions via the chat function. At the appropriate time, they will be read into the record. The link and further instructions are located on the agenda. Also, Chapter 22 of the Acts of 2022 regarding COVID-19 allows for full public participation. Therefore, if you'd like to be heard on a specific hearing, let us know via the chat function. Then at the appropriate time, I'll call for public comment. When you are selected, you will be moved into the hearing as a participant. As such, you must have your video enabled, be succinct and respectful of others. Public comment will be limited to 3 minutes each. And for those of you waiting in the wings for a particular hearing, but so you don't have to wait unnecessarily, the following hearings will be requesting a continuance. 68 Whitecaps Drive, 57 Moonpenny Lane, 24 Willis Lane, 31 Beckles Road, 27 Crosby Street, and 21 Fay Road. All right, first up are requests for continuance under a notice of intent. First up is Gregory H. Lynch, trustee, John F. Lynch Family Irrevocable Trust, 68 Whitecaps Drive, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to construct an addition to remove an existing deck, construct a new deck and landing, and install dry wells. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant has requested a continuance until May 18th.
So moved. Second, Howell.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to continue this until 5/18. Betsy?
Filter, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin?
O'Brien, aye.
Maury?
Carlo Hawks, aye.
Pat?
Harris, aye.
Peter?
Walsh, aye.
Steve?
Aye.
It is unanimous. We have continued this hearing until May 18th. Next up, Harvey P. Stein trustee, Harvey P. 57 Moonpenny Lane, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to construct an addition, reconstruct an existing deck, and install mitigation plantings. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant is requesting a continuance until June 15th.
Carlo Hawks, so moved. Filter, second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to continue this until June 15th. Betsy?
Filter, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin?
O'Brien, aye.
Maury?
Carlo Hawks, aye.
Pat?
Harris, aye.
Peter?
Walsh, aye.
Steve?
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have continued this until June 15th. Next up, Sarah Tirano Flores, Nutter, McLennan and Fish LLP, 24 Willis Lane, Falmouth, Mass. Full permission to conduct Phragmites management and to install a cobble reinforced high marsh. Ben?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant has requested continuance until May 25th.
Carlo Hawk, so moved. Gladfelter, second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to continue this until May 25th. Betsy?
Gladfelter, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin?
O'Brien, aye.
Maury?
Carlo Hawk's aye.
Pat?
Harris, aye.
Peter?
Walsh, aye.
Steve?
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have continued this until May 25th. Next up, request for determination of applicability. First up, Michael Tenanos, 86 Edgewater Drive East, East Falmouth, Mass. For permission to decommission existing leaching pits and to install a new septic tank, distribution box, and leaching trench. Alyssa?
Yes, staff recommends a -3 under the state and a -2 under the bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed.
Gladfelter, so moved. Carlo Hawk, second.
We have a motion and a second to accept staff's recommendation. Betsy?
Gladfelter, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin?
O'Brien, aye.
Maury?
Carlo Hawk's aye.
Pat?
Harris, aye.
Peter?
Walsh, aye.
Steve?
Patton, aye.
It's unanimous. We have accepted staff's recommendation. Next up, Falmouth Marine and Yachting Center, Inc., 278 Scranton Avenue, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to remove and replace 5 pilings on 2 existing piers. Melissa?
Staff recommends a -3 under the state and a -2 under the bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed.
Carlo Hawk's aye. Okay, I'm sorry. Carlo Hawk's, I just had a brain cramp. I move to accept.
Harris, second.
Wow.
All right. Took the long way around, but that's okay.
Wow, I know.
Wasn't as bad as me, Maury. I forgot my name when Jamie just called me.
It's been a long day.
All right. We have a motion and a second to accept staff's recommendation. Betsy?
Gladfelter, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin?
O'Brien, aye.
Pat? I'm sorry. I
Harris.
said Maury. I see.
Carlo Hawk's aye. It's catchy.
Oh, man. Short meeting's gonna be long. Pat?
Harris, aye.
Peter?
Walsh, aye.
Steve?
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have accepted staff's recommendation. Next up, Gosnold Inc., 554 West Falmouth Highway, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to remove the existing septic system and install a new Title V septic system. Alyssa?
Staff recommends a -2 under the state and bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed.
So moved. Gladfelter,
Carlo Hawk's second. I
All
did
right,
have
we
one
have a-
question though. Can I ask one question?
Oh, yeah.
Is this septic, Alyssa, going in up by the street again, or is it down below?
Let me just.
Only because they've put 2 septics in there over the years and I just didn't know which one they're replacing.
This is going south of the home, so towards the back of the property.
So that wetland back there that connects into that it's gonna be above that? Because that already had a septic there. And they just put a brand new one in the front yard on the street side. There's a big wetland back there. That's why I was just curious.
A wetland was picked up east of the home, a bordering vegetated wetland, and that is the only one recommended on the plan.
Is this a house in back, Alyssa, or the Emerson house?
Can you repeat that?
There's two properties. There's a Emerson house in the street, and then there's a house in the back. Is it the house in the back?
I wasn't the one who went out there, it was Liz, but there's like a very long driveway and I
All
only.
right, then that's the house in the back. There's a
Okay.
big wetland back there. That's all. I'm just concerned because it connects to the harbor. That's all.
Hang on, I'm pulling up the plan right now. I just had to jump on to, what is it, West Falmouth, we're on West Falmouth Highway, right?
That's right across from the fire station. Only because when it said that many trees being cut down, I didn't think it would be the Emerson house. So it's got to be the other building in the back.
Maury,
Okay.
I've got it up.
Just that thing's struggling right now, so I'm just curious.
I'm gonna share my screen more.
Yep.
If you don't mind,
Hi,
Mr.
guys.
Chairman.
No,
You see that, Maury? So here's West Falmouth Highway.
Yep.
Are you saying there's a wetland back here?
No, it's to the north.
They picked up this one,
It's to the northwest.
Yeah, that's,
this one right here.
Yep.
Okay, yep, they picked it up.
Okay, thank you.
Not a problem. Just to
All right,
access
anything
the
else?
files, I have to jump onto, I have to jump onto the server, so that's why it took me a second. Sorry about that.
any other questions? All right, so we have a motion and a second to accept staff's recommendation. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Maury,
Carlo Hawk's eye.
Harris, aye.
Peter,
Walsh, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have accepted staff's recommendation. Next up, John and Teresa Larrabee, trustees, 244 Mill Road, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to remove an existing deck, construct a patio, raise RAZE, the existing garage and sunroom, construct a new garage with a second story, reconfigure the driveway and install mitigation plantings. Alyssa?
Staff recommends a -3 under the state and a -2 under the bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed.
So moved,
So-
Carlo Hawks.
Gladfelter, second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to accept staff's recommendation. All right, Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Maury,
Carlo Hawk's eye.
Pat,
Harris, aye.
Peter,
Walsh, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have accepted staff's recommendation. Next up, Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, 86 and 98 Water Street, Woods Hole, Mass. For permission to conduct minor repairs to the existing bulkhead to remediate the developing sinkholes. Alyssa?
Staff recommends a -3 under the state and a -2 under the bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed.
So moved, Carlo Hawks.
Patton, second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to accept staff's recommendation. Any questions?
No, but I'm recusing myself from this vote, Jamie.
Gotcha. All right, Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Maury,
Carlo Hawk's eye.
Pat,
Harris, aye.
Peter,
Walsh, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
We have accepted staff's recommendation. Next up, requests for hearing under notice of intent. All hearings of the Falmouth Conservation Commission are held simultaneously under the authorities of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Falmouth Wetlands Bylaw. Although a single decision of the commission is issued, it represents a separate decision under each authority. As a reminder, commenting is limited to 3 minutes. So I encourage you to stay within the purview of this board, which are the rules and regulations of the Wetlands Protection Act and the Falmouth Wetlands Bylaw and how they pertain to a particular application. The chair reserves the right to stop any commenting that is disparaging or inconsequential to the hearing. first up, Whitecaps has already been continued. All right, continued hearings under notice of intent. Michael and Doralee Bingham, trustees, the Bingham Revocable Trust, 27 Crosby Lane, Falmouth, Mass, for permission to modify the structure of an existing dock. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant has requested a continuance until June 8th.
So moved, Carla Hawks.
And
We
just-
already voted this.
No, we didn't.
We voted 57 Moonpenny. Jamie just made the announcement, but we did not vote you're saying it on the quorum sheet?
No, I thought we voted it in the beginning when it was a request for a continuance under a notice of intent.
No, he
We
just
voted.
listed them.
We only vote on the ones that we know are wanting a continuance ahead of time.
This is Whitecaps. It's the first one. We voted it and I have it on the quorum sheet. We voted it
Yep.
for 5/18/22.
And I said that, and I just read 27 Crosby Lane.
Aha.
I'll loan you $1 so you can pay attention. That was mean, sorry. All right, I'm sorry.
How's
Who
that
made the
gonna help?
motion? It'll be a long night.
Long, short night.
Yeah.
Make
All
a
right, I'm
motion
gonna-
to continue this as requested by the applicant.
Second, O'Brien.
Till when, Steve? I have to put it on the quorum sheet.
Whatever the applicant requested, 6/8.
June 8th.
Thank you.
All right. So we have a motion and a second to continue until June 8th. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Maury,
Carla Hawks, aye.
Pat,
Harris, aye.
Peter,
Walsh, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have continued this until June 8th. Next up, Brian Vaughna, 78 Gardner Road, Woods Hole, Mass. For permission to reconfigure the driveway, construct a deck and stairs, construct a patio and walkways, install a fence, conduct invasive species management, and install mitigation plantings. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have promoted Coastal Engineering and Wilkinson up to present their continued project.
Okay, and for the quorum, Maury's not on this.
Oh, that's correct.
All right,
Sean,
Hello. Hi,
Sean,
for the
Sean and
record,
Catherine,
Jean
who's
Higgins.
starting?
I'll start.
Perfect.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Let me just share my screen. Sorry. See that?
Not yet.
Not yet.
There it is.
There it
That's
is.
weird. Okay. So we made a few minor edits. We heard your feedback, and really we did have kind of a mistake on our plan. We weren't showing that southeast area of the property. We weren't showing that as in jurisdiction. So we revised our plan to show that, and also to include a 1-to-1 ratio of trees to be removed versus to be planted. So we're now planting 20 native trees. So overall, we feel like this is a great opportunity to remove the invasives on the property throughout the entire property and replant with natives. And with that, I would be happy to answer any questions, or Sean is also here to speak on his plan.
Thank you, Katrine. Sean, would you have anything to add?
Sure. Let me just share my screen.
Sure.
And we also heard the commissioner's concerns about the replacement of the stockade fence in kind. We went back to the homeowner and expressed your concerns about the potential for waterborne debris should an event happen during a storm event. We're in the velocity zone. They still expressed their concerns about having security where this is right next to a public access. So we've come up with a solution that we believe we can meet in the middle, which is essentially an aluminum fence, very narrow profile that would be anchored into the ground that would not become a waterborne debris. Essentially, if anything, it would become bent in any kind of a wave event. But it's also running perpendicular to any of the wave flow. So with a really small profile, we feel that it shouldn't even be damaged in any kind of event that happens, and definitely should not be waterborne debris. I believe that was one of the concerns. The other was clarification about the bluestone patio, and I see that my engineer has not moved the dot to below the deck, so we'll provide you with a revised plan that shows that leader actually going to the underside of this deck rather than the overhang area, just so that there's clarification. And I believe that was the bulk of the concerns, and I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, Sean. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I just
Sean, you can stop sharing, please.
Very good.
trying to find my plan. Katrina, did you, excuse me.
I can take it, Jen.
Yeah,
It is one of our, yeah, okay.
Can you take over, Alyssa? I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. So one of our first questions, Katrine, was we noticed on the plan that some of the proposed restoration plantings were in the road layout. So I don't recall off the top of my head. I think it's a town road. So we would need to get permission for you to do work in that layout.
Sure.
And let's see, obviously, you know, historically the board hasn't really allowed fencing in the velocity zone. Granted, this fence has been here for maybe a long time in my world and not in Betsy's. I haven't been able to investigate if the fence was ever permitted or not. But the board will have to decide if they choose to permit the fence there. I understand the neighbors' security reasons, and I think, is that the reason that they're still pushing for the fence as opposed to more of a natural barrier? Okay. And then I believe our last concern was, and I think we briefly touched upon it last time, in terms of quantity of shrub material for the restoration. I realize you're putting in more trees, and obviously we can't plant right up to the trees. There's sort of that 10-foot, 5-foot offset from the trunk. If it's possible to determine how much square footage that is, just so we can make sure that the 130 plantings are still sufficient to revegetate that area properly, that would be helpful, I think, for everyone. I think a couple of commissioners had that concern too, with just the lower quantity of shrub material going back in. And Mr. Chairman, that was all of our concerns as of now.
Thank you.
Can I respond to the, okay, so our plan is showing that green patch or fill is showing the area of invasive removal regarding the road layout, but we're not actually proposing to plant any trees or any shrubs within that area. It would just be removing the invasive species there. Sorry?
Are there any natives that will be left in that area?
Anything that, I think there's a couple bayberry right in there, but like right near the one or two right near the driveway, but other than that, you know, it's all essentially all non-native species.
Okay.
And then regarding the quantities, I think this is this is not a mitigation. You know, we don't need necessarily mitigation. So we were thinking this is more of like an ecological restoration project. And this is quite typical to the densities that we normally would plant in an area like this, so that there's grasses that are able to grow. It wouldn't be mulched or anything. It would be the native grasses growing between the shrubs.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
Sure, thank you.
All right, and Katrin, you said you were planting a total of 20 new trees, correct?
Correct, correct.
All right. Jen, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Not at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. All right, commissioner comments. Betsy,
No questions. Thanks, Jamie.
Kevin,
No questions, Mr. Chairman.
Pat,
I have concerns about the fence. Our regulations say that no new structure can go in a velocity zone. And unless they can establish that the existing fence was properly permitted or grandfathered, it's certainly a better design in terms of damage that would be caused from wind and wave action down there, but it's still a structure in the velocity zone. Nothing else, Mr. Chair.
thank you. Peter,
No questions or comments.
all right. Steve,
No questions. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
okay. Jen, is there anything in the public chat function?
Nothing in the public chat, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. All right. Sean or Katrin, do you have anything to add?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. So I'll
Make a
entertain a
motion.
motion.
And
Mike-
make a motion to close the hearing and take it under advisement. Steve Pat.
Gladfelter second.
Thank you. All right, so we have a motion and a second to close the hearing. Thank you guys for working on addressing the staff's concerns. And with that, there's nothing further. I'm going to call for the vote. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Pat,
Harris, aye.
Peter,
Walsh, aye.
Steve.
Pat and I.
It is unanimous. We have closed this hearing. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Katrin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bear with me 1 second, please. All right, next up, Betsy, 57 Moonpenny, which was previously continued. Next up is 24 Willis Lane, which was previously continued. Or I should say earlier in the night, because previously could have been last week, but that brings us to Donna Haber-Kornberg, trustee. Donna Haber-Kornberg, 2021 Revocable Living Trust, 70 Kerry Lane, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to construct a pool with a pool deck and fence to conduct invasive species removal and to install restoration plantings. Ben?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I've promoted Raul from Cape and Islands to present the project. Raul, am I promoting Paul Moskowski up as well?
Please, yes.
Okay, excellent. Hang on, Paul, I'm coming to get you. Okay.
Good evening. For the record, Raul Lizardi from Cape and Islands Engineering, representing the applicant. Also with us, Paul Miskovsky, who is also going to be the contractor for this project. This project is at 70 Cary Lane, specifically in Quissit. The project is for the proposed pool at the existing property. The existing property is developed with a single family residence since 1985, if I'm not mistaken. I'm gonna share the screen I have, which is the plan that was submitted. So hopefully everybody can see my screen. This is the middle section of the project. First of all, I'll scroll up to the first page, which is the overall plan. So the property is developed with a single family residence in 1985. There are several resources on the property. There's land underwater, which is Flax Pond. This is not a great pond. There's another Flax Pond in town, which is a great pond, but this is not that one. There is an inland bank associated with the pond, and there's also a bordering vegetative wetland associated with a pond. The property currently has 2 buffer zone A's, which is the 50 foot to the BBW and the 75 feet to the inland bank. Both of those buffer zone A's are completely vegetated. The proposed work is located in between the buffer zone A and beyond the buffer zone B, towards the house. The closest development, not considering landscaping plants, is some rock walls that are on the back of the house. One of which is roughly, I can get my pencil to work, at this location down here, which is currently located 79 feet from the edge of the BBW down here. So the proposed pool is tucked against the back of the house in this corner. And it is not moving any closer to any of the existing landscape walls on the property. And again, it's completely within the buffer zone A and buffer zone B and beyond the buffer zone B. I'll scoot over to the detail on the site plan. This is a little section that we have at a 10 scale on the plan to kind of show a bigger scale of the proposed work. So the proposed pool is what's in blue on the drawing. It's a 13 by 32 rectangular pool. Around the pool, there's gonna be a deck. So it will be a pool deck. And then holding everything back will be a block wall, retaining wall. That's roughly at elevation 51. The deck is gonna be built between the pool and the wall and over the wall to match the edge of the wall at elevation 52. There are 2 existing decks off the back of the house at this location. It's really one deck, but it's two levels. So we're calling it 2 decks. These 2 decks will have to be reconstructed for allowing the construction of this pool. The access to this site will be through the north side of the property or the north side of the house. The south side is too narrow to actually have equipment to get access to this site. So this is the north side of the house. All the access equipment and construction material will be delivered through that side of the house. This is right here, the buffer zone A, which is the 75 feet to the inland bank. The limit of work is roughly at 76 feet from the inland bank. And all the work is 10 feet back. All the work meaning is in terms of structures, which is the retaining wall being the closest thing, is 10 feet back from the limit of work. In terms of improvements to the buffer zone, what the plan is looking to do is remove invasives and non-native invasives within the buffer zone A, which is the crosshatch pattern that we have on the drawing. It adds up to somewhere around 1,600 square feet of invasive species in the forms of bullbriar and English ivy and some other non-native ornamentals within the area. Those plants are going to be removed by hand, and any void areas left behind will be planted with native shrubs. The plan has a list of shrubs, which is our typical list of shrubs, which is the swamp azaleas, the bayberries, inkberries, as shown on the plans. In addition to that restoration, which is in the buffer zone A and B, there will be an additional 55 square feet of native shrubs proposed inside the limit of work in this location. I chose this location because this is the corner that is closest to the buffer zone A. So kind of to densify vegetation closest to the buffer zone A in that location. There is a proposed drywall at this location. So all the runoff inside this retaining wall and through the decking and for maintenance of the pool, it's going to be discharging to this proposed drywall. The septic system on the property is on the opposite side of the house towards that direction. So none of this work will affect the existing utilities at the property. What the homeowner wants to do is, as they walk out the back of this house, this deck is roughly flush with the house. There's going to be one step down to the pool deck and then one step down to this lower deck. So it's roughly just one step one way, one step another way to minimize the number of steps that the homeowner has to use to actually use the property. That's essentially the project that we're proposing. If there's any questions, Paul and I will be happy to answer. Thanks. I'll stop sharing now.
Thank you, Raul. I don't see Paul in there.
No, Paul is down on the, Paul's here. Paul Moskowski.
Do you have anything to add?
Paul, do you have anything to add?
Good. Can you hear me now?
Yes, Paul.
Yes.
Okay, good. Well, I think the what Raul was talking about as far as the mitigating the area down below the project is there's a number of invasives down there. The English ivy that was planted up in the yard years ago has made its way down there, and so we thought to pull that out. The block wall is it's all dry laid with fabrics, and it'll be engineered. The pool equipment will drain directly into the dry well, which is tucked around the corner. And all the access points will be revegetated once we work our way out of the project. Pretty straightforward.
Raul, what's the capacity of that dry well?
And it's 1,000 gallon.
So yes, we're proposing a 1,000 gallon leaching pit. This is not the typical dry well that we use for like roof runoff, those typical small 2x2 with 2 foot of stone. This is a much bigger unit.
Yeah, because you'd be using it as a drawdown tank, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
That's why I'm asking. Thank you. All right. Commissioner comments. Kevin.
No questions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
You're on mute. I'm on mute. Can you hear me?
We can barely hear you, Jamie.
Sorry, I don't know what it is.
Okay.
Maury, can you hear me? There she is.
Yeah.
Comments, questions? Yeah, something's up on my end, I'm not sure.
I just had one question. Raul just said that the dry well was 1,000 gallon, but it says on his plan it's a 2. It shows the gravel around it larger, but the dry well is 2 by something. I don't know if it's 2 by 2, but it's shows it on the plan as 2 foot. So I just want to make sure it is big enough, as Jamie was concerned.
But if I'm showing a 2 by on the detail, I'll correct that because this is a much larger unit. This is not going to be just one of those typical 2 bys.
Okay, because it says it's an NDS. It's not a precast.
So I'll have to revise that plan because that is not the intent. I want a bigger pit. This is not the small pits that we want.
Yeah, that's, Jamie was corrected. The plan shows it too small. Thank you.
Anything else, Maury?
Nope, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Pat?
I just need clarification, Raul. Is the proposed pool in the A zone?
No, so none of the structures are in the A zone. The only work proposed in the A zone is the invasive removal and restoration with native plants.
Great, thank you. I misunderstood something you said earlier. No further questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Peter?
No questions. Thank you.
Okay. Steve?
No questions. Thanks. Pat cleared that up for me.
Betsy?
No questions. Thanks, Jamie.
Okay. So Jen, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think we need to see a revised plan for the 1,000-gallon tank, but Raul, just to be clear, you're saying it is definitely going to be 1,000.
1,000-gallon precast.
Thank you. All right, Jen, is there anything in the public chat function?
There's nothing in the public chat, Mr. Chairman. Raul, can you just send me a revised plan with the 1,000-gallon tank on it for the record, please?
Will do.
Thank you. Nothing in the public chat, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
So I'll make a motion to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Harlow Hawk second.
All right. We have a motion and a second to close the hearing. If there's nothing further. All right. Betsy?
Gladfelter, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin?
O'Brien, aye.
Maury?
Harlow Hawk's aye.
Pat?
Harris, aye.
Peter?
Walsh, aye.
Steve?
And
It is unanimous. We have closed this hearing.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Raul. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you very much.
Night, guys.
Appreciate it.
Good night.
Aye.
All right. All right, next up is a request to amend an existing order of conditions. Craig D'Ambra, Beckles Road Realty Trust, 31 Beckles Road, Falmouth, Mass. Request to amend the order of conditions for Mass DEP number 4643 to permit the installation of 2 fire pits, a grass paved reinforced turf driveway, 10 cedar trees, and mitigation plantings. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant's requesting a continuance until May 18th.
So moved, Gladfelter.
Harlow Hawk.
Competition. All right, we have a motion in 2 seconds to continue this to 5:18. Betsy?
Gladfelter, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin?
O'Brien, aye.
Maury?
Harlow Hawk's aye.
Pat?
Harris, aye.
Peter?
Walsh, aye.
Steve?
Pat and I.
It is unanimous. We have continued this until 5:18. Next up are continued hearings under a certificate of compliance. John Samorian, 21 Fay Road, Falmouth, Mass. Request for a certificate of compliance for Mass DEP number 25-2254. Jen?
Yes, the applicant's requested continuance until August 3rd.
Wow.
So
It's-
moved.
Harlow
To give
Hawk
them
second.
time to implement the amended we just approved so we can issue compliance.
So we have a motion and a second to continue this till August 3rd. Betsy?
Gladfelter, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin?
O'Brien, aye.
Maury?
Harlow Hawk's aye.
Pat?
Harris, aye.
Peter?
Walsh, aye.
Steve?
Pat and I.
It is unanimous. We have continued this until August 3rd. I didn't read these together because they're 2 different DEP numbers, just so you know. Michelle Samorian, trustee, 21 Fay Road, Falmouth, Mass. Request for a certificate of compliance for Mass DEP number 25-4372. And
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant is requesting a continuance until August 3rd.
Carlo Hawk, so moved.
Gladfelter, second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to continue this until August 3rd. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Maury,
Carlo Hawk's aye.
Pat,
Harris, aye.
Peter,
Walsh, aye.
Steve.
Pat and I.
It is unanimous. We have continued this until August 3rd. Next up, vote, order of conditions. First up, Ralph and Michelle Cataldo, number 2 Bridge Street, East Falmouth, Mass.
Let me get there. Sorry. This is the the little fiber roll array project. Alyssa, was there another component to it?
There
No,
was
the
a bit of
invasive.
invasive species managed.
Yeah, so fiber roll and invasive species management, mostly up by the road. And along that. Straight,
Anybody want anything in there?
The only special condition is to augment the planting in the path. They were going to do the 8-foot wide construction access and just allow it to grow back up, but I think they should augment that path a bit.
I think they agreed to that, no?
Yep, they did.
Yeah, okay. Always makes it easier.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
on the abutting property, I believe it's the town property, but there's a fence and kayaks there. That's all on the town property? I can't really define the property line there.
I know exactly where you're talking about, Steve. Yes, it is town property. And I do believe the harbor master just went to the Board of Selectmen with a, for lack of a better term, vessels on shoreline policy. We've been working with the harbor master for a couple of years to look at areas to put like a dinghy rack so people can reach their moorings. So it is something that the town's going to start to address and is beginning to address.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Doesn't impact this property decision.
All right, what are you thinking, folks?
I'll make a motion to accept the order as discussed. I mean, to issue an order of conditions as discussed.
Carlo Hawk, second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to issue an order of conditions as discussed. If there's nothing else? All right, Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Maury,
Carlo Hawk's aye.
Pat,
Harris, aye.
Peter,
Walsh, aye.
Steve.
Pat and I.
It is unanimous. We have issued an order of conditions. Thank you. Next up, Laura R. F. and Stephen A. Balter, trustees, the Cape Escape Real Estate Trust, 197 Nautical Road, Falmouth, Mass. And Kevin is not on this quorum.
That is, they'll be basically rebuilding the existing house, parking court area, and an extensive restoration and mitigation project.
Very extensive.
Alyssa, do you have any special conditions that you think we should put? I know you worked closely with Teresa on this one.
I've been writing those down. I don't have any notes from our last,
Okay.
other than the typical monitoring reports.
Okay.
Do you have anything they want to see in there?
Well, I still think that the count on the plants was wrong, but I'm not gonna die on that hill.
In that case, I'll make a motion to issue an order of conditions as discussed.
Harris, second.
All right. We have a motion and a second to issue an order of conditions as discussed. If there's nothing further. All right, Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Matthews, aye. Maury,
Carlo Hawks eye.
Pat,
Harris, aye.
Peter,
Walsh, aye.
Steve.
Pat and I.
We have issued an order of conditions. Thank you. Next up, Stephen Proya, 317 Edgewater Drive West, East Falmouth.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that was the dock. Mike revised a plan to address marine fisheries comments, and we were able to look into the driveway and determine that it's been like that with gravel, actually called for gravel in an old order from the 90s. So just the reconstruction of the dock.
All right.
My only thing on my plan was it was downward lighting, and they, not to forget to put in that they have to have signage for public access.
Anybody else have anything? Standard stuff, Jen?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to issue an order of conditions as discussed.
Carlo Hawks
Harris,
second.
second.
We have a motion and a second to issue an order of conditions as discussed. There's nothing else. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Maury,
Carlo Hawks eye.
Pat,
Harris, aye.
Peter,
Walsh, aye.
Steve.
Pat and I.
It is unanimous. We have issued an order of conditions. Reminder, no meeting next week.
What a shame.
Yeah,
Who said that? Is that Maury?
Troublemaker down the bottom.
I just have one thing I want to tell the board. Amy Lowell is submitting an MVP grant to further for design and engineering services for the relocation of the Trunk River sewer main. I do believe they're going to be looking at relocating that under Woods Hole Road. They'll be applying to the MVP program for funding to engineer and design that. The application, I think, was due today. So Jamie and I had to make an executive decision and authorize a support letter. I'm sure you will all support this grant application, and Amy just did the timing caught up with her. So she's like, I need a letter by, I think it was yesterday. So we sent off a support letter on behalf of the commission. I hope you all don't mind. To support,
Ratify vote.
yeah, to support Amy's grant application to the MVP process or program.
I move we ratify your vote, your letter.
Yeah.
I second. Carlo Hawks.
Okay, Gladfelter, aye.
sorry, I was writing.
All you have to do is say,
Matthews,
Make a
Like
aye.
Matthews, aye.
O'Brien, aye.
Carlo Hawks
Maury.
eye.
Harris, aye.
Peter,
Walsh, aye.
Pat and I.
it is unanimous. Thank you. All right, last motion.
I make a motion to
adjourn.
adjourn, Mr.
or
Chair.
I'll second it.
All right,
Gladfelter, aye.
Matthews, aye.
O'Brien, aye.
Carlo Hawks eye.
Harris, aye.
Walsh, aye.
Pat and I.
It is unanimous. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Good night.